Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another long-term knife review for you. Today we have the Benchmade 560BK-1 Freak, more popularly known as the Super Freek. I did a first impressions video of this. I did a comparison with the Hogue Ritter RSK Mark 1-G2, really long name knife. I did a comparison with that, but somebody pointed out in a live show last week I never did the full review of it. Well, I've had it for 3 months now, so now it's also a long-term review, so let's get to it. You guys all know this knife very well. It's quite popular here on the channel with a lot of you guys. Every time I bring it out in live shows and stuff, everybody asks questions about it. It is the upgraded version of the regular Benchmade Freek. I have never owned a regular Benchmade Freek. I've held one, but I didn't like a lot about it. It has that kind of grippy, rubbery texture on the handles. Never was a big fan of that. But when this one came out, honestly, I wasn't super excited about it either then. I think I said this in the unboxing video of it and in my first impressions, and I may have even said it in the comparison video. I got it mostly to compare it to the Hogue Ritter, and mostly I got it for a comparison knife. I thought it would be kind of a one and done thing. I really wanted to get it quick. I thought it was probably going to be a catch and release, but here we are, 3 months later, and I still have it. You got M4 steel with a coated blade. You have these nice, really awesome G10 handles. And I like it infinitely better than the regular Freek. $191.25 is what they're going for right now on most of your normal websites. And as always, go to White Mountain Knives and check that out. Use the code SDWMK at checkout. You get 10% off. I'm not sure if they're in stock at the moment you're watching this or not. It is a full-on production knife from Benchmade, but it is an extremely popular one at the moment, so they are definitely coming and going quite quickly. But a really cool knife. I do like a whole lot about it. Let's do some specs and size comparisons before we get too much farther. I know I did specs in the previous video, but I was just reading them off of Blade HQ's site because I had just gotten it like several hours before I did the video. So now I have my own little measurements. We have an overall length just under 8.5 inches, blade length dead on 3.6 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.11 inches, handle thickness 0.6 inches, and a weight, according to my scales, of 4.34 ounces. So not a lightweight, but it's not super heavy. It's above that magic everybody wants, the 1 ounce. 1 ounce to 1 inch of length ratio. It is definitely above that, but it's not too bad. Size comparisons. We're going to do a bunch because I'm not sure I did that in the previous video. I went back and skimmed through it, but I didn't see if I had done that or not. We'll put it in our usual Spyderco sandwich. I'm just going to line up the pivots here. You have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and your Spyderco Para 3. You can see it's definitely more PM2 size than Para 3 size. We will compare it to a very valid comparison, your full-size Benchmade Griptilian. This is the base Griptilian and then the new one in the S30V, but also they do make it in a G10 and 20CV, which is much more comparable in price and everything to this. You can see it's a little bit larger than the full-size grip. Just a little bit. I don't have a mini grip here, and unfortunately, they don't currently make this configuration in the Mini Freek. Hopefully, they will. I would love to try that out, but you can see it's a bit bigger than the Griptilian. And we'll bring out another one of our standards that I keep forgetting to bring out. I don't know if I can call it a standard because I keep forgetting to bring it out. Your Kershaw Bare Knuckle. Again, just slightly larger than that, so it's a pretty good sized knife. And then lastly, we'll bring out two more. I already did a whole comparison video to this, and I'll link to that in the end here, but your Hogue Ritter Mark 1-G2, just a slight bit larger than that. And since I have it here, I just happen to have it out. But another one of my favorite EDC knives, and if you are cold steel people, which I know a lot of you are, against the Cold Steel Code 4, just a little bit shorter than a Code 4. All right, let's talk more about this knife. As I said, as far as the looks, I liked them immediately. That was one thing I did like about it. As I said, I wasn't like, this knife was not an instant buy for me when I first saw it. I got it for review purposes, but I did always like the look of it. I'm not a huge fan of coated blades, but they do look cool, and it does look good, and it's got the red inside. As I said before, and other people have said, I heard it's the guy who picked the colors and stuff is a Deadpool fan. This is supposed to be like a Deadpool reference. There is a series of Deadpool comics where he's wearing mostly gray with a little bit of red, and I think that I understand what that's referring to. So that's cool. I'm not always a big fan of the pop of color, but this is really nice. It's not a bright, ridiculous, overly powering red. But if you are going to do a knife with a pop of color, black with a little pop of red, it always works for me. Or a little pop of blue or something like that. Not a green or yellow fan, but red or blue, I'm okay with that all day long. But I just love the look of the G10 on this. It's just so cool. This multi-layer G10, and they just mill through it, and it makes these really awesome patterns. It's super cool. I really do like it. And the black blade does look good on this particular knife, but I would like to see, I would love to have seen them do this same red on the thumb studs and maybe even on the axis lock. I think that would have been really cool. They didn't go that far, but that's fine. This is a first production run. If you are buying one now, they're all gone. They won't have this on here. So there's not a whole lot of billboarding, just the butterfly, and it would just say M4. This is just for the first production run on here. This is what, number 633 of 1200 from that first production run. This is not the stock pocket clip. I did put a deep carry pocket clip on this because I had one around. At the time that I did the initial video and the time I did the comparison video, I said multiple times they're free from Benchmade because they were at the time. They're not anymore. A lot of people, myself included, may have abused their willingness to give out free pocket clips. So now they charge $5 for them. Who cares? So if your knife doesn't come with a deep carry clip, some of their models do, some don't. If you want any one of the other clips, they'll replace your stock clip once a year for free, the knife that it came with. And then if you want something else, it's like $5. I think maybe the bug out clip is a bit more. I think maybe the bug out clip's like $10 because that's the one that honestly we kept asking for. I may be wrong on that because I haven't had to get one since, but because I got a few before while they were still free. But I did put the deep carry on it. This is the standard clip that it comes with. It is right hand, left hand, ambidextrous, as you will see when I do this. But this is the standard one. I still have one screw stuck in it. But yeah, it comes with the penis clip, the split arrow. Sorry, not supposed to say that. But it comes with that clip. It works fine. But I think that not only does the deep carry clip look better, it works better as well. So, and this is the coated one, not the painted one. If you have a choice, I would recommend that. These hold up a little bit better than the painted ones do. So I have made that change to it. That's the only modification I've made to it, though. But I just think the overall look of it is pretty damn cool. I do really like the way it looks. Even the coated blade, it's grown on me for absolutely sure. It is a Cerakote coating on it. It's held up extremely well. I will say I thought I had scuffed it up. I've been using it a whole lot, and when I took it out to do this review, I noticed it was all scuffed up, and I thought, all right, it was acceptable. But then I cleaned it, and it all went off. So it wasn't scuffed. It just had stuff on it, I guess. But this is cut through a whole lot of cardboard, and it's holding up pretty well. I haven't done anything super heavy duty with it. I know I did do like some little whittling and stuff just to see if the coating would scratch a while ago, and because I was bored one day and it didn't. So it's held up extremely well so far. I guess maybe you can see there's a couple discolorations where it's not scratched through, but you can see it's wearing a little bit, but not too bad. And again, 3 months of pretty regular carry, which we'll talk about in the conclusion here. Now, let's talk about the blade on this. M4 steel, as I said, I've already beat the subject of the coating to death. It is nice and smooth. It doesn't really seem to hold much up, when you're slicing through things. It's not terribly thin behind the edge, 22,000, something like that. I always wish Benchmade would make stuff a little bit thinner, like how we and stuff does, but it's perfectly acceptable. 22 thousandths is not at all crazy out of the realm of anything. And, and it cuts pretty well. It came with, Benchmade's like kind of toothy edge. I've never had to like fully, like really super sharpen it. The M4 holds an edge forever. It has made a few trips, or one trip across the sharp maker to touch it up. And I still have that kind of toothy looking edge on it, and I'm all right with that. I guess that's how they are. That's how it came, and that's how it shall remain. I think on the sharpening system that I use the most often. M4 steel, not like I said in the original review. It's not difficult to sharpen. It just takes a while. You got to be patient. It is a super hard tool steel. It is very, very hard. What do they claim on the HRC on this? I don't remember. Let me look here. I have some notes up here. I don't see it. I don't know what they claim the HRC is in this, but it does seem to be a very hard steel. It holds an edge very well. I still really like the blade shape on this. It's just pretty simple blade shape. Nice, good, robust, thick tip. I never worry about snapping it off at anything or anything like that at all. Really good blade on this. Ergonomically, it's great. That's probably my favorite thing about this knife and why I wind up carrying it so much. It's just so comfortable in the hand. Got a little bit of jimping up here, a little bit here on the top of the handle, a little bit on the spine of the blade. A nice little thumb ramp. It's great. It fits really well. I will say the stock clip, maybe you don't feel in the palm of your hand, excuse me, quite as much. This I do feel it a little bit just back here. I can just barely feel it on the back of my palm. Not a big deal at all, but it is there. You can feel it. With the regular clip that they intended you to have, you can't feel it at all, which maybe they're smarter than me, but I really like the deep carry, so I don't mind it. It's worth the sacrifice to me. As far as let's just show, and then as far as the carry goes, since we're talking about carry, let's show that. If I can find, there they are, ye old Wranglers. Sometimes I put my notepad on top of them and I forget where they're at. So let's do that. Again, this is the deep carry clip, so this is a bit irrelevant. But with a deep carry clip, you still get a little bit sticking out. Not a whole lot at all. Still super easy to get your hand past, and this wouldn't matter which clip you had on it. It is a full-size knife for sure, but it doesn't feel that big in the pocket. The handle is pretty thick, 0.6 inches, but it doesn't feel like it in your pocket. It feels completely fine. No flipper tabs sticking out, so that's not an issue. I think it carries pretty darn good. I really do. Deployment-wise, the first thing everybody's going to ask is, did it say it stay centered? Yes, it did. And again, I have not fully torn this apart because I don't hate myself. That's the biggest downside with Axis locks is a lot of knives, most knives I get, I will play with for a day and then I'll tear it apart and put my own preferred lube and all that stuff on it. Not Axis locks. They are to me a bit of a nightmare. So I do the compressed air, blow them out, put some KPL or whatever, or nano oil, whatever I choose that particular day, on the bushings, and then gently use a little bit of gentle air to kind of make sure it gets back in there and work it in. And that's what I've done with this. It has not come completely apart. One thing I mentioned in the initial first impressions was that it had a little bit of lock stick. That's gone now. It makes a noise, but you can't feel it. I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, see, it barely even makes just that little tick. But you definitely can't feel it. It doesn't feel like it's sticking anymore. I thought that would probably go away, and it did. I think there was just some, as you can see, the lock bar here is coated, and it just needed that coating to wear away, so it was back to clean metal on clean metal, and now it is. And it works great. You can, the thumb studs, I think, are placed extremely well. I think I saw one person say they didn't like where they were placed, but I think they're really good. And then you can always just do the Axis lock stuff too if you want. It's completely drop shutty, as you can see. Action has been fantastic. So here's what I'm going to say in conclusion to this. So I did a comparison, as I said, between this and the Hogue Ritter RSK. And I gave the win narrowly to the Ritter RSK. And I stand by that. I still think probably if these are available at the time you go, these are a lot cheaper. I think they're $155 instead of $191, and that was really the big difference. But I have both. I don't intend to sell either of them, and I do carry this more. I just have found I carry this more than the Ritter, and I think it's an ergonomic thing. I think it's just I like the feel of this G10 better than the feel, of the Ritter. I think if you're doing heavier duty stuff, like I said, I think this has a bit more aggressive jimping and much more aggressive G10. This is probably better for, a real hardcore working knife. But I don't do a whole ton of that. So for my EDC uses, I prefer the ergonomics of this. I prefer how much easier it slides in and out of the pocket because the G10 is fairly smooth rather than the very textured G10 on the Hogue. And I've just found this in my pocket a lot more than the Ritter. I still love the Ritter. I'm not getting rid of it, but I have found it in my pocket a whole lot more than the other, which I was kind of surprised by that. But it's just the way things have gone. It's a great freaking knife. Somebody said this was I think just tonight I was watching some videos and somebody said that they thought this was the best thing that Benchmade had made in the last 5 years. I believe it was JT's Knife Life. Man, I can't argue with that. It probably is. It is a great knife. I still wish that they gave us the option to get an uncoated M4 blade. I know why they do it, because M4 is not a stainless steel, and they think that people are going to be stupid and they're going to get corroded and they're going to get complaints. But you know what? I'm not an idiot. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of an M4 blade. I have uncoated M4 blades, and none of them are corroded or anything either, because I'm smart enough to treat them and work and use them properly and clean them when I'm done. Don't make me get the black. That is honestly, after 3 months of use, that's the only real complaint I have about this knife. Other than that, I think it's fantastic. And I really hope that they do make a mini version. I would probably snap that up immediately if they made a mini of it, because the mini Griptilian doesn't quite fit my hand right. This is a little bit larger, so I'm assuming the Mini Freek is a little bit larger. I've never held a regular Mini Freek because, again, I hated that rubber texture, so I wanted nothing to do with it. But if the mini is just a little bit bigger than the Mini Griptilian, I bet I would love it just as much as I love this. That would probably be the only knife that could kick this out of my collection, is if I got the mini and I really love the mini just as much as I love this. Maybe I would get rid of this. But other than that, this thing ain't going nowhere. It's a really, really good knife. I highly recommend it. And yeah, it is it's probably the best thing that Benchmade makes right now. Go check one out. Again, you can go to whitemountaineyes.com. I don't know if they're in stock at the moment. I didn't check before I started the video, but the code is SDWMK at checkout. Who knows when you're going to be watching this. These videos live forever. For better or for worse. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.